Hey, kitty. Meow. There you go. Today I went to a vegetarian restaurant in Khon Kaen that was, well, in many ways surprising, impressive, yet very, let's say nondescript. Note, I am not distinguishing between vegetarians who eat eggs or dairy or non-dairy vegetarians like vegans and even raw vegans. I'm lumping them all into a single category of people who generally don't eat meat. I myself go through phases where I consider myself a quote-unquote flexitarian. That's someone who generally tries to eat non-meat consuming diets most of the time, but partaking in meat once in a while. These days, I eat a standard diet that consists of consuming meat, but there are just days where I don't want to eat any meat at all. I just want to consume veggies. In Thailand, that's easy to do without breaking the bank. When looking up vegan and vegetarian places in Khon Kaen, Thailand, I was surprised to see that a lot of places popped up on the standard search. Additionally, Khon Kaen celebrates a Taoist vegetarian festival. Though it's not as well known as the festival in Phuket, it does exist. We do have one in Khon Kaen. This year, the festival in Khon Kaen will be held on October 21st. I'll see if I can get more information on that. Regarding restaurants, I'll be highlighting two places today, and I only visited one of the two today, though the other one I didn't visit. I did go to it several times before making this video. It should be noted, like all countries, most Thais are meat eaters despite being Buddhist.
She's not a Christian!
You see, Buddhists believe that we should not harm any living being, however, they do consume meat. You see, there's a loophole in the philosophy in that it is okay to eat an animal's flesh so long as there is no knowledge that that animal was killed and prepared specifically for you. That way, you're not accruing any karmic load for that animal's death. It just happened to already be dead, so okay, go ahead and eat the meat. Of course, I could go down a rabbit hole about the fact that knowing that that system exists at all and that you are a benefactor of it, such knowledge kind of necessitates bad karma, doesn't it? Sort of reminds me of like when my vegan and vegetarian friends who don't eat meat at all have meat-eating pets like cats. You're still buying into a system that slaughters animals to become food for the ones that you love. But I digress, this isn't that kind of video. When looking up the number of Thais who consume vegan and vegetarian diets, I was mildly surprised. Thailand is actually just north of average. At the bottom of the list is Russia, with just 1% of the total population identifying as vegetarian. The vast majority of countries fall somewhere within the 4% to 7% range of their population eating a vegetarian or vegan diet. The United States, it should be noted, falls under this. Surprisingly, Japan was at only 5% of the population, and unsurprisingly, of course, Americans at 4.2%. That zone seems to be a very popular zone for a lot of countries to fall under. Like I said, Thailand is at 8%, which is impressive. It ties the UK, actually, and I was shocked that the UK was actually at 8%. My UK friends are voracious meat eaters. Even more surprising, and I don't know why I'm so surprised by this because I lived in the country for a couple of years, but Germany beats both at 10% of the population consuming a vegetarian diet. At the upper end of the spectrum, I'm actually surprised that Mexico's population per capita is at 19% of its population eating a plant-based diet. I think it's because I can't recall any vegetarian options at Mexican restaurants that I go to, or maybe I'm just not thinking correctly. But again, I lived in Florida, so the kind of food that I was partial to with Latin influence was going to be Cuban food. I rarely ate at Mexican restaurants. India, unsurprisingly, however, reigns at 39% of the population consuming a plant-based diet. Now, sampling issues surrounding India make the number kind of sketchy, and the standard deviation can be wide enough that the real number might be somewhere around the lower 20 percentile range. However, this still places India above all the other countries sampled in this article that I'm citing here. I know from anecdotal evidence, whenever I wanted vegetarian or vegan food, whenever I just didn't want to eat any meat, I knew that going to an Indian restaurant was a safe option. They've been doing this for thousands of years and have perfected vegetarian food. The two places in Khon Kaen that I have eaten at and are going to recommend are very different from one another. First, there is Thawanthong, which I've been to several times. This is the larger of the two places and the one that I would recommend you if you're a tourist to go to, or if you're based in downtown Khon Kaen. This is the more gentrified, more refined dining experience in comparison to the other place. Now, I'm not saying that this is like a Michelin star restaurant or anything. It's not at that level, but it does have a more polished, more business feel than the other place. This is smack dab in the old town, and you can walk to it from most places in the old town. It's located on a narrow neighborhood road with cafes and other restaurants in the area, as well as some hotel and apartments. The food here is amazing. Every single time that I go to it, I enjoy it. And honestly, I would swear there was meat in the dishes that I was eating, but there isn't. It's a vegetarian restaurant. The grapao, or basil quote-unquote chicken, actually tastes like basil chicken. It's so bizarre. I believe what they're using is jackfruit flesh in place of the meat, but it could be a combination of mushrooms or tofu. I'm not really sure, but you honestly are going to think you're eating chicken. Prices for lunch here range around about 100 baht or so. Now, this is actually a small complex of different things. There's actually a vegan shop at there that you can buy groceries for vegetarian or your vegan lifestyle. The dining area is open concept, so there's no AC, but it's spacious and comfortable, and there are fans everywhere. Now, the place that I went to today was Ruen Phai Vegetarian Restaurant. A less upscale feeling experience. Basically, some woman converted the front garden of her house into an open-air outdoor room. Then she turned that room into a restaurant. The location is in a suburban mixed-use area, not far from Bun Nong Kot. I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right, but basically Nong Kot Lake. Now, Nong Kot Lake is where bars and cafes are often located that are frequented by expats. You could actually bike from that lake on a bicycle down to her restaurant in probably about 10 minutes. But this is definitely off the beaten path and not something I would recommend to tourists unless you like mom and pop businesses and you really, really want to support them. It's really just a nondescript, anonymous street in your average working class neighborhood with lax zoning laws. I mean, places like her house/restaurant are across the street from some kind of small workshop or factory, or I don't know what it is. And it's just down the street from a barber shop, so it's very mixed use. I actually like mixed use zoning laws because in a mixed use zoning law town or city, this means that you can wake up from your apartment, condo, or even your house and walk across the street to a cafe or a coffee shop. I'm down with that. Her food, just like Thawanthong, is pre-prepared in its buffet style, and you just kind of point to the dish and then she'll put it on top of rice for you. There are no soda offerings or other kinds of drinks. It's just water and ice. So if you're addicted to soda, then bring one from the 7-Eleven that's just around the corner on the main street before you take a turn into the neighborhood. The food was delicious. Once again, I couldn't tell the difference between her grapao tofu or jackfruit or whatever it was and actual chicken. I mean, it's just that uncanny. Now, the most shocking thing about her place is that I had 2 entrees on top of rice, got my belly full and everything for 40 baht. That's one single doll hair and some change. In future videos, I will try to seek out more vegetarian offerings for you. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Once again, I love you, I appreciate you, and I wish you all the best in life. See you next time.
There she is, a cow. Where you going? I guess they don't want to make friends. The mama's around the corner, so I'm not gonna get in between them and her because I like the process of being alive.